In a world where the battle for beverage supremacy rages on, two titans clash for a high-stakes game of taste buds and market savvy, found within a saga of intrigue, betrayal, and global domination. The infamous Cola Wars. In the late 19th century, a new type of beverage started emerging in American pharmacies. That new beverage is called soft drinks. Take Coca-Cola, for example. It was created in 1886 by John Pemberton, a pharmacist in Atlanta, Georgia. In its original form, it was marketed as a health tonic. Claims were made that it can cure anything from headaches to a major illness. In 1892, Griggins Chandler bought the rights for Coca-Cola, and it was his marketing genius that made Coca-Cola a household name. He introduced couponing, offered free samples, and he sponsored events to promote his brand. On the other hand, Pepsi was also created by a pharmacist. It was created by Caleb Bradman in 1902. Unlike Coca-Cola, Pepsi was actually marketed as a health tonic. But unlike Coca-Cola, it struggled to gain popularity in its early years. It wasn't until the 1930s that Pepsi started to gain market share. One of the key factors that made Pepsi go to the level of Coca-Cola was its marketing. They specifically marketed their advertisements to their youth by sending advertisements like Pepsi Cola hits the spot,
Pepsi Cola hits the spot,
and the light refreshments, just to name a few. And this was far from what Coca-Cola was doing, which was the traditional marketing.
One thing we're always prepared for around here. Help yourself.
But it wasn't just that helped Pepsi grow on Coca-Cola. It was their pricing system. You see, during the Great Depression, Pepsi started lowering their prices. They did this to appeal for their cost-conscious customers, because those customers were switching from Coca-Cola to Pepsi because it was cheaper. And by the 1940s, Coca-Cola and Pepsi were at the same level. And this just set the stage for the Cola Wars. Both companies started spending millions on advertising, trying to prove to the world that they are the best. And just like that, the origins is over. And now we can get to the juicy parts, the 1970s and 1980s. This period was very important in the Cola Wars because the advertisements that came out of this was incredible. The first thing you had was the Pepsi Challenge. Well, what's that?
You're about to take the Pepsi Challenge.
You see, Pepsi brought in a few of their customers and they brought two beverages in front of them.
You know, I have 2 bottles of cola back here, and you don't know which is which.
No, I don't.
And so the customers would take a sip of the beverage and see which one was better.
And the fact is, nationwide, more people prefer the taste of Pepsi over Coca-Cola.
And this gave Pepsi a major advantage. But Coca-Cola did not stay quiet. They released an advertisement campaign
It's a real thing. Coke is the way you feel.
that said that they are the real cola. And so they should buy cola, not Pepsi. And the competition grew even to the 80s. Coca-Cola tried to do anything to beat the sweetness of Pepsi. And so they released
Introducing the great new taste of Coca-Cola. The best tasting Coke in the history of ever.
the new Coke. In Coca-Cola's eyes, this new Coke was amazing. But in the eyes of the people, this Coke was the worst.
What do you think about Coke changing its formula?
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
No, truly, people hated it.
We drink Coca-Cola
And I like it too.
How long have you been drinking it?
since 1947 here.
What do you think about this new,
I don't like it.
why not?
It's too sweet.
And they were like, we want the original Coca-Cola. And while Coca-Cola was pressured into releasing the old Coke as Coca-Cola Original. And while this really saved them and brought them back to where they were. And it was their way of stepping into the world of global domination. And well, that is my way of stepping into the world of part 3. The 1990s and global domination. Great segue, right? You see, the 1990s was an amazing decade for the Cola Wars. Because now they have new ways of advertisement, and they also have new variants for their cola. They added celebrity endorsements to their campaigns, trying to reach a bigger audience. Pepsi had a lot of famous commercials, having icons like Michael Jackson, Beyonce, and Britney Spears. But also at that time, Pepsi and Coca-Cola were trying their way into the energy drinks market. You see, Coca-Cola had Full Throttle and NOS, but on the other hand, Pepsi had Gatorade and Powerade. And with this, the companies started expanding globally, competing in markets like India and China, where their growth was massive. However, the competitions in these countries weren't always friendly. A big example of this intense competition was in India. You see, Coca-Cola made a decision to go back to India after 16 years of being absent. And well, let's just say that it wasn't the easiest thing to do, because in that 16 years, Pepsi was growing a big following there. So what did Coca-Cola do? They bought a Indian cola. It's called Thumbs Up. And this Thumbs Up became one of the most most popular colas in India, and it outperformed Pepsi. But the competition didn't end there, because Pepsi started introducing 7-Up and Mountain Dew, and increasing the competition in India. And with all the controversies and the amount of competition that they face, the cola wars will never end until one buys each other. And well, what are they doing right now? Like, what's the current state of it? You see, that was a good segue, because that is our next part. The current state of the war. You see, for decades, the competition between beverages was between Coca-Cola and Pepsi. And well, this changed because more health-conscious people started emerging. People wanted less sugar in their drinks, and so Pepsi and Cola had to find a way to prove that they are the best still to this day. And so to appeal to a wider range of consumers, they started making water and other products to appeal to the people that were health-conscious. And now they're in everything. You see a beverage, you'll probably find it linked to Pepsi or Cola. But not just beverages, they went into snacks. Like Pepsi has Doritos and Lay's. And so now you have to wonder, what are not connected to Pepsi and Coca-Cola? And will those things ever not be connected? How far is the cola wars ever going to go? And well, the answer to that question is very simple. Only time will tell. But one thing is for sure, the cola wars are never ending. And you know what else is never ending? This video about how a car changed the world. But one thing before you go, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.